Hi everybody, it's Martyn at Flicking Feathers again today, and I thought I'd do another salmon fly for you. This is quite a traditional salmon fly, the General Practitioner. Not as popular as it once was, but very, very effective, and quite a fun tie. So, tying this on a size 8 full and mill Magni double, which is about as small as I would go. And this hook is quite a small 8, I would say. It's like compared to like some of the modern hooks like the Patriots and that, it's probably nearer a 10. But as always, there'll be a full materials list in the description, along with a link to Patreon and PayPal for anybody that wants to support the channel and get access to members only content. And be eligible for the giveaways. So I've started my thread, just putting it down the shank, and I'll just catch in some small oval gold, 3 turns, that thread's enough, just hold it, and then I'm going to wind back down, right, around the bend, like 4 turns, and then in between the hooks catch it off. And I'm just going to take my thread to the midway point, and then I'll fold this back and tie it in underneath. Now it's up to you. The one that I had in the vise, I just had bucktail, but you can add like pig bristle, or in fact I will. I'll stick some pig bristle in just to show you. Get some hot orange pig bristle here from Foxy Tails. I'm grabbing 3 or 4. Right. Incidentally, if you want to buy pig bristle, Foxy Tails, who I have no relationship with, I just buy it. They seem to have the best value packs. You know, so they give you like 20 wee bristles for £3 or something. It's £4-5 for one of these big patches. It's much better. So there we go. A wee bit. Take that one away. Say a hook and a half overall. Again, I'll come in with my bucktail. You don't need a huge amount. I'm just going to roughly align the tips, sort of hand stack them. Right, you don't want it perfectly even, but reasonably so. Catch that in. It's roughly the same length as the bristle. I like a couple of bits of flash, but you don't need this, it's not in the original dressing. This is just orange crystal flash, standard size. Just tie it in, fold it back, and tie all the way back to the butt. And then I'll just trim that golden pheasant. So I've got a whole tippet feather here, it's a smallish one from up near the top of the neck. Just got to strip away the rubbish till I've got enough as I like. And then I'm going to fold the feather, just rolling it between my fingers to pull it together so it's sort of narrowed down. And then I'm going to offer this in so that it's halfway ish, right, about halfway back into the tail. Right, you can see there it's sort of, and then I'm just going to adjust it, make sure it's sitting how you like, and then if you press it, it kind of spreads it a wee bit after having rolled it. Again, make sure your tie-in's right back, and then I'm going to follow that with a red breast feather from a golden pheasant as well. You can use up some of the small ones as well with this, which is quite nice. They're a wee bit, they might be a bit small for using as hackles and things, so it's a good way to use those feathers. Got to let this just be a shade longer than the tippet, and I'm going to just roll it the same way. And I'll just catch it, tie it back, and then again just bounce your finger on it and it'll open up. And I'll trim them to the halfway point, and I'll tidy up. That looks quite good. Then we'll come in with some dubbing. This is just hot orange sulphur. It's a little bit darker than the tippet and the bucktail and the hackle that I use, but I quite like the way this colour combination blends in. But up to you, you know, if you want to stick with a darker orange all through, or a lighter orange, or whatever, that's entirely up to you. Dub that up to the midpoint. Then I'll get my hackle. This is just a Chinese neck, just a cheap, these are only like £7 or something, $10. And I want a longer hackle at this section than I do at the front half. And I don't mind it being quite long. Right? Some folk tie the GP with quite sparse, short, spiky hackle. I think it's better to use one that's a bit longer, so you get a wee bit more movement. And then I'll just wind this hackle. I'm not too worried about doubling it. I'm just using my fingers, but you can use your hackle pliers if you like. Now get to the back. Oops. I might grab my hackle pliers. Right, no. Just got to grab my hackle pliers. It's just a wee bit short, this hackle, for comfort. So like 3 down, and make sure you've got a full turn at the back, right? I mean, there's supposed to be a prawn or a shrimp, I suppose, and you want that extra bit of, if you're trying to imitate that taper, although, I mean, how imitative this is questionable, but the bulk shot at the tail, or the head end, which is here. Take my rib up through. Snip away the tip of that hackle, across my thread, and tie that in. I just leave the tinsel attached, but you can take it away if you want. Take the Velcro, use it to tease out some fibres and encourage the hackle down and back, right? I mean, once it's been swum, it adopts a nice shape anyway. But this just helps, so if you encourage the fibres downwards, it just does help the wing to sit. So the middle wing is just the same as the same two feathers as before. It's the tippet feather followed by the breast feather from the golden pheasant. Strip away the stuff I don't like, roll it. I'm going to offer it up, and I want the black tips to line up with the middle bar of the tippet feather in the tail. Right, let's check that again, that's fine. Tighten up. See it's sort of sticking up there, just flatten it, grip it and press it flat and put a crease in the feather. Another breast feather, exactly the same. Strip away the stuff you don't like, roll the feather, and again just a shade longer than the tippet. See how you're sitting, it's quite nice, it's lying nice and flat for me anyway. Trim away the waist, and then just tidy everything up and tie back to your junction. Looking good. Same dubbing. You don't need a full seal, with just enough to give you that bit of colour and enough to be brushed out. I always use Velcro in my dubbing, so I like it to be overall quite sparse, but having enough fibre there to be able to brush into the fly so you can see the colour and get a bit of movement. So I'm going to use a smaller hackle, right, to get that sort of prawny taper, but I don't know how important that really is. Same thing, tie it in good side facing myself, fold back the tip, snap it off. Take my hackle pliers. 1, 2, 3. If it snaps, you just grab it in again. Move it further down. Full turn at the front. 1, 2, 3 looks about right. 4 just finishes. There we go. I'll just take my oval gold tinsel. Catch it in. Trim off the excess. So you might use a wee bit extra tinsel by tying it up and folding it back and that, but I think it's worth doing it. Look, it's what's well. Same again. Brush these hackle fibres down out the way. Carefully your thread, which you don't interfere too much with your wing. And then I'll sort of brush them down and back. Don't worry if it looks a bit rough. Everything's going to come together lovely in a minute. Again, just roll my feather, find my midpoint, and I find the second bar in the middle wing, catch it in, check your length, that's good, tie back, making sure it's nice and straight and on top. Flatten it by putting a wee crease. And then we can come in with a red breast feather again. Slightly longer than the tippet. Use your thumbnail just to make sure it's spread and flattened and that looks pretty good. Sometimes I add an extra breast feather just for just to get the coverage if the feather's a bit sparse or something, but in this case it's just nice. Just got to get in here, trim this away. A couple of fibres here just annoying me. There we go. Take my thread to the front, pull everything back, then I'll build my nice neat head. Get a nice shape. When you're happy, you can whip finish. Just use the turns of the whip finish just to keep forming that head. Get a nice and tidy shape, nice round shape. And there you go. Get a wee touch, and there's just a wee fibre there. And there's a General Practitioner. The last thing to do, as always, is just come in, get a wee touch with the super glue. I just see a wee stray bit of dubbing. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, just on the underside. Now it's the same colour as the thread, so I'm just going to use my thumbnail and just use the dubbing to stick it into the head there, and that's it gone forever. Right, now my head is now perfectly shaped with no bristles, and I've just run my finger around the glue there, just presses it in, sets it off, and that means you're ready to varnish. A couple of coats of varnish and that's the General Practitioner finished. So I hope that was useful, I hope you enjoyed it. I'd encourage you to tie some of these up. They still, I mean, they haven't stopped working, just because like the alley shrimp and that's became popular. They're a wee bit time consuming by comparison to some other flies, but they're nice, and you know, tying these flies will develop your fly tying as well. So I hope that was useful, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up below and subscribe to the channel. Tight lines guys, bye.